Good afternoon and welcome to the Orange County Funding Corp meeting. Let's call the meeting to order. It is 4:04 on November 20th. Bill, can we get a roll call, please?
Sure. Mark Green.
Present.
Linda Muller.
Here.
Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
I have 3 members present. We have 1 excused absence. For staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Marty Barras, and Kelly Riley. We also have Mr. Jose Rojas doing audio-visual. We have our new general counsel, Rudy Zoda, and Lino Sharetta, and our monitor, Mr. Brian Sandage.
All right, notice of this meeting was provided.
It was duly noted.
All right. Hopefully we had a chance to look at our minutes from October 16th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Fantastic. May I get a second from you, Mr.
Second.
Chris? Thank you so much. Any discussions about the minutes? Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3 in favor.
Excellent. Motion carries.
All right. New business. Let's look at October of 20. Oh my.
Beautiful. It's distracting me.
Okay. We're not being joined by our.
We're not actually.
Okay.
It's not available tonight.
Okay. So let's take a quick look through our financials if we can, please.
Perfect. We're looking at October financials. Looking at the income statement. Dated October 2024. Under income, the only income is interest earnings of $201.88. So that's the total income for the month. Getting into expenses now, under admin expenses. First of all, a management fee expense paid to OCIDA, $7217.292. Bookkeeping expense of $320. An office supply, and our monthly insurance expense of $402.23. Moving down to agency support expenses, we have one negative 65 cents. That is part of our transition to ramp.com, where we're going to be doing our bill pay, and they took a certain deduction in order to be able to make sure that it works. So they haven't done the credit, they've done the debit on it.
And we'll be digging into that one.
Absolutely.
Exactly, really.
It's a high list on your priorities.
Sure it is, the 65 cents. And then under legal, we have $3,321.50. So total expenses of $11,261 for a net operating, a net income loss of $11,059.12. Those are your October financials. Any questions on that income statement? And looking at our cash and investments. Another page. We have a 9-month T-bill for just shy of $450,000 with JP Morgan. Another 9-month T-bill just shy of $600,000, and then a $600,000 12-month CD with Lakeland Bank. And you see our checking account at $205,698. So that with our investments and T-bills, it's we have total assets of $1,855,555 for Orange County Funding Corp.
All right, a couple of things real quick, if we can discuss.
Sure.
Be allowed to do that?
Yes.
All right, when we meet next time, we will need to come up with a plan because that, when your CD is gonna roll
Sure.
on January 12th.
Yep.
So Kelly, next time we meet, if you could make some calls, that'd be great. And then the second thing, we still haven't released funds, I assume, for when we approved the rink?
We have not.
We have not.
We have not.
Okay. All right. And that's still in limbo?
It's still out
We're
there,
waiting
yes.
for them
It is.
to kind of get their paperwork in order.
Correct.
All right, fantastic. Do you have something to say, sir?
Those funds would not be available to us, or maybe they would out of the 205. I was just looking at the timing of that CD, when we'll have more flexibility and thinking ahead to something on the board schedule
Yeah.
here in an hour.
I mean, we will have the amount in that 205 if that, I believe it was 160,000.
Yeah.
Right.
If that comes due, we would have the ability to without having to wait.
Exactly correct.
Okay.
Did we also discuss bringing some of that, when we do Lakeland, bring some cash down to the cash account and not investing all of it?
We very well might have to do that, and I think that's probably when we figure out, if the rink if that touches base. So I guess the point is, we will be discussing this more in December as we come. Yes, but we will have to be more prudent.
And the food bank request.
Mhm.
Good point.
Yep, exactly. We'll see what happens tonight.
Okay.
But I did mention that because I figure we have the month now. We'll see what happens tonight, and then we have the month before we decide what to do with that other investment. So
Okay.
we may take some of that out. All right, next page just shows any expenses, payments made between the last meeting and now. And then the following page is really the itemization of the monthly amount that goes to OCIDA, management expense. Those are your financials.
All right. Do we do this, or should we move, I mean, we've already done payables, I think.
Yeah, we just want to get you to vote on recommending to the board acceptance of the financials and approval of the payments.
Okay,
We have done that in one motion.
all right,
It's
so
a
we,
vote.
so again, we have covered payables.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Beautiful. So can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Any more discussions about this?
No?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 3-4.
There you go. Got this down now, don't you? All right.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yeah, there's really nothing else to talk about.
Only business for OCFC. Yes.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else to discuss, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Make it
All
great to you.
1, 2.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Adjourned.
Might have to keep it up.
Excellent. Wow. 6 minutes. Not bad.
You're just gonna roll? Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Orange County Industrial Development Association. Today is the November 20th. It is 4:11 PM. And Bill, may I get a roll call, please?
Sure. Mark Green,
Present.
Linda Muller,
Here.
Jeffrey Christ.
Here.
We had 4 members here for staff, myself, Bill Fioravanti, Kelly Riley, Morty Barres, Mr. Jose Rojas. We also have our new general counsel, Lino Shredder, Rudy Zoda, and our monitor, Mr. Brian Sandwich.
All right. Notice of this meeting was properly provided.
Yes.
Fantastic. Let's roll into minutes from October 16th. Hopefully you all have had a chance. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the 16th?
Also move.
Second.
Fantastic. Any discussions about the minutes?
No.
No, pretty basic. All right, then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
Motion carries that, so.
All right, Bill, if you can take us into the October 2024 financials.
Yes, let's look at the income statement from October 2024 for OCIDA. First of all, starting with income, right at the top, $2,500. That's an application fee for Sky Harbor Group, where we're hearing tonight. A little bit further down, $4,500. That's 3 charges of $1,500 each for West Warwick 123 for lease amendments we made. Charges we levied against them for that. Below that, the 7217.92, that's the management fee expense from OCFC. And then you have interest earnings of $129.95. Total income for the month of $14,347.87. Now moving into expenses or administrative. First of all, our book $1,680, that's our RBT, our bookkeeping services. The $656.04. That is our monthly allocation for insurance, excuse me. Next is office supplies at $729.54. And our monitor expense of $55,706.20. Let's see, moving down into travel, lodging, and meals, $470. That's for some mileage reimbursement and for business lunch that I had. A couple other things on there. And then moving into agency support expenses, we've got $2959.49 for IT support and audiovisual. That's pretty typical for the month. Marketing and PR at $5,795. We've got membership and events, $344.96. That's for a New York State EDC event and Orange County Partnership event. And then training and education at $3,988.11. That's for our hair speech training, our kind of IDEA 101. that Kelly and Marty took with Julie Marshall from Harris Beach. Moving under projects expenses, 206.25, that is a cost benefit analysis tool for housing, something we purchased from the MRB group. We didn't have that yet. Next is legal counsel, Bouskey Holstein, $5,265. And then we have a $250 expense under the Shovel Ready program. That is the application fee for Fast New York. Okay, getting into payroll, employee benefits at $2,992.22. And then you see our salaries and payroll taxes. So in the last section, building expenses, we've got rent at $6,947.02, utilities at $471.33, internet and telephones $488.12, and maintenance, which is mostly cleaning, at $650. So we have total expenses of $114,198.89 for a loss for the month of $99,851.02. And we'll tell you that we have a robust pipeline, so I'm hoping that we have a number of projects that come through and do provide some much needed revenue.
If I could, I just want to say that we have an unbudgeted expense, which has helped contributed to our loss, no offense, of the $55,706.20. So I just would like to make that part of our minutes.
Thank you. Okay, that's your income statement. Cash and investments. We have a 12-month CD with Provident Lakeland for $5 million. A 9-month T-bill with JP Morgan for just under $1.8 million. And a Provident Lakeland 9-month CD at $2.5 million. IDA operation account, $72,738. Our trust escrow has $41,533 into it. You see our total CDs and treasuries mean a total of $9,414,103.
And again, I think December, we're going to have to spend
Correct.
a lot of time talking about the CDs, but also I know we have other projects that are coming up and
We do.
such, so, yeah, we might, we might want to think about, we'll see how tonight goes with all the other things.
Yes.
But we might need to come here a little earlier,
Okay.
I think in December,
Okay.
just because I have a
Good point.
feeling we have a lot of stuff going on.
Maybe we want to try and start at 3:30 and then.
Yeah, we might have to.
Okay. Great point.
Kelly, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
real
go ahead.
quick, Kelly, thank you. This format makes things so easy. Look back and doing the things and looking at trends, so thank you. I know I've asked you to do some stuff, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
We'll follow that up by saying that the next page is hard to read. Thank you,
Kelly, what are you doing to me, Kelly? The average age here is 61 years old, for God's sakes.
And I'm a lot older than that.
I was gonna say, there might be one other person who's below than 61. Woo!
Do we need to review these, Kelly?
Everything is just pretty normal here. You can see I put the October expenses next to the checks that Marty had written. And it's all pretty typical. There's nothing really different. The Mid-Hudson News, we have 3 months worth of expenses there. It's the way that they just send in their invoices. And everything else is pretty much what we've been paying, all of them. The Harris Beach, that $5,184 was because we had to pull Julie in for some questions that Anshin had when they, one of the requests that they came in, and also the training that she came down for. The Felonzer, that's the Legoland labor audit, and that's an IDA expense. But under land association, that's all passed through from the escrow account.
Legoland isn't, just a reminder, an older project that was a policy where we paid for the labor monitor.
Any questions before we move on?
The last page is our credit card statement, which we always include that. Those are your finances.
any questions about the credit card?
No.
All right, then can I get a motion to approve the October 2024 financials and payables?
Also move.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion about the either financials or the payables?
No.
All right, then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Next item is retirement funds.
Okay.
Kelly has a handout.
I think I put it on the bottom.
Yeah, I got it.
This one? Yeah, go right there.
There you go.
Thank you
That's
so
it.
much.
That's it.
All right.
So this shows 220, in 2023 gross pay and what profit sharing was contributed, invested on our behalves. And then also we have the last column totals up what our 5% of each of our personal contributions have been into 401k, which the idea would match. We did check, they have not been matching yet, but we're gonna set it up going forward where it's quarterly. And we're gonna make a 3/4 payment and then be set up for quarterly going forward. Because technically, we're missing out on potential losses too, but also potential gains in the market.
Absolutely are.
Exactly. So we did rectify that. But then we thought we would raise, since it's the end of the year, and if you're gonna make any further investments into profit sharing, deferred compensation needs to be done by 12/31 of this year. Last year was a total of 63,000 that was invested across the 3 employees.
I know we jumped into this real quick, but I think we're gonna talk about this for a little while, so I apologize. Let me ask a question, because I saw on here, we were gonna talk about the Harris Beach invoices.
Yes.
And the Hodgson Russ invoices.
Yes, I just wanna make sure we had time for this, so that's why we moved it up, but we can move to another item. if you
Well,
like.
I'm hoping that those two don't take too long,
We can try and make it fast.
or are these gonna be in-depth discussions?
They could be. I think if it's gonna be in-depth, I think we can table it, so.
Okay, then let's
Let's
continue
get
to talk
into it.
about this.
All right, good.
So, before you came, we were faced with a situation last year where a lot of promises have been made the previous 10 years, however many years, about retirement, about all sorts of different things. And so last year, I want to say probably in May or June, we started looking into options, what we could do for the employees. One of the options that had a strong beginning was to see if it made sense to get, the folks into the New York State retirement system. As we started to investigate that and look into it, it was exceptionally cost prohibitive.
Okay.
I'm gonna say roughly $600,000.
Yes, it's a huge one-time payment to buy everyone's time out.
And because basically they said you have to buy all the time in arrears to get you up to speed, and then even going forward, it was a pretty prohibitive amount of money.
It would have
So,
provided double coverage too for at least one employee during some time where they did have another retirement plan going.
so when faced with that, we said, okay, I think we need to come up with Plan B. And so Plan B was, doing what, and I also think that in discussions, we felt that the IDA, trying to work and attract businesses to our community, we had a concern that being kind of part of the unionized New York State maybe wasn't the best incentive, the best signal,
Sure.
the best, it just, So we went, Bill, myself, we worked with consultants to set up, the 401k retirement plan. Now, I know I'm in finance, but I'm not savvy in setting up 401k plans. I mean, we can talk numbers, but, so this was my first time as well. There are 2 components to it. You probably are much more adept at this than I am. One was setting up the matching, right, to encourage our people to invest, and we came up with 5% for matching. So anything over 5%, no match, but up to 5% we will match. The second part of it was what we call the profit sharing, which was a tool for us to be able to make up for past mistakes.
Okay.
In other words, to try to get people, if we will never be able to get people quote unquote whole with a New York State retirement plan.
Correct.
But, the thought was on several fronts. One, we'd like to try to follow through on false promises. Also taking into account that the money that we're putting into this pales in comparison to the commitment that it would have taken to be in the New York State, which
Sure.
would have been $600,000-$700,000.
Sure.
So that was last year, and now we're here at this year.
Mhm.
So what do we do? And maybe I should sit across from you so we could throw daggers. I know, from our brief conversations, I know your feelings. I feel strongly that I would like to continue to try to do something to continue with making up for past amends.
We're talking about the profit sharing.
Correct.
Not the 401K.
I don't, unless you feel that that's egregiously out of line,
No.
then I would like to leave that as is.
Okay.
So really it comes down to the profit sharing for
So
2024.
can I just ask a question on the profit sharing? Was that in a pre-tax account or was it a check directly to the
No,
employees?
it's in a pre-tax account.
Pre-tax account.
Went into
What kind of pre-tax account?
went right into our 401K accounts.
That went into the
Yeah, it
401K.
funded the 401Ks.
Yes.
Initial investment in the 401K.
And just a silly question, who's paying the taxes?
Who's paying the taxes? I think it's all pre-tax it's being deducted, no? Oh, you mean on,
Who's paying, are you paying the taxes or are we paying? Who paid the taxes on the $35,093.18?
Then we paid the taxes.
We paid it, so the IGA paid the taxes. Are we sure?
we have to pay taxes?
Well, I don't even know if,
On profit sharing, those are not considered pre-tax dollars because they're not income generated, we're making a contribution. So making that contribution, there's a tax liability, whether it's the employee who pays the tax or we pay the tax.
Must be ours, no?
well, that's a great question, one that has not been brought up.
That's why
From-
you had me.
That's what. I thought it was the comic relief.
Well, that too.
Yes.
That too. It's a question that we have to ask now because.
Well, it's a question we should have asked last December that to be perfectly honest, I thought that our accountants or somebody would have brought that to our attention to say,
Yeah.
hey, by the way,
The 401K is not an issue because you pay the tax at the time you take the money out of the account, that's the
Yes.
pre-tax dollars. These are not. So we need to determine who's paying, if the taxes were paid in fiscal year '23.
well, let
And
me
who
ask you
paid
this
it?
question. I apologize, I
That's okay,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off. No.
No, that's fine.
Well, in theory, shouldn't their accountants, their personal accountants have raised the flag?
Well, it all depends.
You're just full of non-answers, aren't you?
No, I've lived this life.
No, I know you have, and I appreciate this, thank you.
I know really, really well. So
Yeah,
you
please.
gotta, you can do it either one of two ways. The corporation can pay the taxes, or you take the liability and you pass it to the employee, and the employee pays the taxes. And one of two things happens. So the liability continues to escalate over time. When they take the money out, or when the transfer of the dollars happen, that triggers an event where taxes have to be paid. Because these are not their dollars, these are our dollars. And they're not tied to payroll or earnings.
We'll call the plan administrator right now and see if we can get an answer during this discussion on that.
That would be
That's a
helpful.
great question.
It's an embarrassing
Aware of
question.
either.
No, it's not. I didn't know that question since 2015 when I faced the same issue, that time of retirement.
Yeah, I will say, setting this up was, and again, I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy, but I have an MBA in finance, and
This is
trying
a
to
whole-
get straight answers,
it's a whole
and
nother-
every single time it was exactly what you said, was, well, it depends, well, it depends. It was like, well,
It's a whole
can
other.
somebody just give me some, and it is so, even the, the contribution has to be within a certain amount
Mhm.
between your highest and lowest
Lowest,
pay,
uh-huh.
and making sure that,
Think how I
and,
did that with 748
yeah, I
people.
can't even imagine.
But yes, so I would just make sure, because you don't want any, you don't want him to be taken off guard at the time that he wants to go cash this in and say all of a sudden there's this huge tax liability at 50 or 60%. Even though it's sitting in 401k.
I personally don't care about you, Bill.
Yeah, so, please have Linda.
I worry about you, so there you go.
I mean, it's frustrating because it just, again, I just feel like every time you turn around, it's just another roadblock.
I may be wrong, so let's just,
No, I don't care if you're wrong, I'm thrilled that you brought it up.
Yeah.
so, we need to go on. So there's a
All
whole,
right.
the issue of the taxation, if that's an implication
That's
there,
right.
it's
All right.
separate and distinct from where you wanna go. And I guess my other question is, should we be discussing this now, or should we be discussing this in executive session?
I don't know that we have a right to discuss it in executive session.
We tend to not,
So we do this in front of the staff?
Personnel discuss,
No, that, you could do this in executive session, because
Okay.
it relates to staff and
personnel.
payroll, and,
Yeah, right?
yeah, it's definitely executive session topic, no question.
Okay,
No offense,
sure, no problem at all.
but I think, Mr.
Absolutely.
Chair, this should be in an executive session meeting.
All right, so I think you just need a motion for that and the reason.
Well, do we wanna do that, or do we have these other two items that we're not gonna deal with?
I'd like to deal with them, at least one of them, for sure.
So that we could do an executive session if the chair is okay with that, at the end of the discussion of whichever one of these you wanna talk about.
Sure.
let's table this for now.
Okay,
Let's try and do our best to get to these two.
Yep.
And then whatever time we have left between then and 5 o'clock,
Okay.
we'll go in executive session to try and handle this out.
very good,
Thank you.
very good.
So do I need a motion? Do we need to,
No.
or can we just move?
We just continue,
All
yeah.
right, let's go.
Okay, now, I don't have them in front of me, Kelly does, but we have two sets of bills for legal fees. Well, one is not necessarily legal fees, it's help with our Paris report. Julie Marshall, we all love her because she does a tremendous job helping us with our Paris reporting. We budget between $5,000 and $6,000 a year for that. Any luck?
Yes. She said that there's no taxes paid on it. When the participant retires and they pull the money, that's when they have to pay the taxes on it. Or if they roll it over into an IRA, they do not have to pay the taxes on it then.
If they roll it into an IRA, it doesn't have to be taxed?
That's what she just said, that no taxes need to be paid on it if it gets rolled into an IRA.
I already pay the taxes ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on which type.
No.
A Roth.
If it's a Roth, you have to pay taxes.
Yes.
But you could still do the other way?
Again, I'm not a tax expert, but when you have dollars that are being put into a 403B or a 401K that are not coming out of the employee's salary on pre-tax dollars, when there's a contribution made
Oh, okay.
on behalf of the employee, which is what we've done, evidently, there's a tax implication somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the question will beg to be asked is, depend upon what their amount is at the end of the time where the distributions no longer exist, then that fund turns over to the employee, and that's a trigger for taxes, regardless of whether you take the money out or not, it triggers a tax event.
Okay.
And it's a tax event on everything. So, in my opinion, if you could pay taxes during the year that it happens, it's a lot better than getting nailed with taxes lump sum at the time of retirement.
Okay.
Just saying, or the corporation says it's gonna cover the taxes, which you did not do that,
No.
so. Typically, it's not, typically it's the employee gets to have to pay the taxes, but you probably need more information that I can give you.
Let's
Keep
table
going with
that.
that, okay.
And-
Yeah, and
and
do these
if-
other things.
If we need to get on the phone with him
Great.
and try and figure it out, we will tomorrow or the next day or whatever.
All right, well, these are pretty cut and dry, as unpalatable as they are, however. So this is from Harris Beach. Again, they do our parents reporting, and they do a tremendous job. We get billed usually somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 a year. They didn't bill us for a couple of prior bills. There was, I think, a portion of the bill that we weren't billed for in 2021 for just under $2,000. They didn't bill us for 2022, which is just over $6,000. In 2023, that was over $7,800. And some of that, by the way, the reason that's over what we normally do is whenever we have questions from the state comptroller's office on our parents reporting and such, we go to Julie, she helps us get to the bottom of it. And then she's done a lot of extra work for that, frankly, in response to some of the questions from our monitor. So that's been a little high because of all the kind of research that has had to be done. But it's a total of $15,736 in past bills. I've expressed my frustration over it, of not being billed. I say this with all the vendors whenever that happens. You know, it's not an advantage to have it be zero one month when it's going to be doubled up the next. So how to handle these is the question. I'd like to pay them, but I understand they're old, and
They do see the irony in this, right? That we have to rely on them for
Yeah.
our reporting,
yeah,
and yet their reporting is the shoddy that they don't bill us.
yes. I have no defense for that.
What's their explanation for not billing for 3 years?
Yeah, I just didn't get it. Just didn't do it,
Do we have a
really.
contractual relationship with them, and in there is a timely billing clause?
We don't for parents reporting. We
You
don't
don't.
have an agreement on that. I believe, Marty, their excuses were just that they just didn't bill us, right? I don't think there was anything beyond that, so.
I think Julie said that she put in the hours or something, but some reason the actual billing department never sent us the invoice.
That's right, someone else didn't sign off on it, is what she said.
Okay, 2 questions. Have we confirmed that we have not paid this in the last 3 years?
Absolutely.
So we have not paid this?
Yes,
We-
correct.
We
That's
have
correct.
100% evidence, we've never cut a check.
Definitely, we've been through all that.
All right, then fair enough. And number 2, are we on them to bill us for 2024?
We already
Yes.
paid for 24. Yeah.
We have
24 is
We
paid
paid
for
the
it.
training and we paid some of the engine already on it.
Okay.
So how much was 21? We owe them for 21?
21 was less than $2,000. And I think that was a partial bill. I believe we paid something for
And 22?
21. 22 was just under 6,000.
Bill, if you remember correctly, on 21, I think the Paris reporting was already done by the time that Julie, and then you needed help because you and I were the only ones here
Oh, right.
trying to get all that information, and
That's
that's
where
where.
it was completed, but we needed help after the fact.
Right.
That's probably the smaller amount then. You're right. Marty, you gonna add something?
I was just gonna add that a lot of the, maybe 2022, where we were still in kind of transition, and so Julie stepped in a lot to do a lot of that work, because I had just gotten here and kind of getting back into the swing of things, so she did do a lot of work on that, I can attest to that. And then the questions that came from the ABO and the OSC after the fact, and we had a couple of, or one project in particular who said, we paid you our bonds, and we said, well, can you show us proof? And we went months just kind of chasing them for this proof, and Julie stepping in, and you know, us getting in contact with their attorney, and then Julie, it was a lot. And I think, is 22 the biggest one, Bill?
23 is the biggest
Oh,
one, just
23.
under 8. 7866. Do you wanna ask if we can pay this over a few months?
I mean, my opinion is, look, as long as we're absolutely certain we haven't paid them,
Yep.
then I'm not in the habit of not paying my bills. I mean, this is talking from me. The second thing is, to be brutally honest, I would love to get this done by year end, so it's not carrying over and continuing to
Right.
hang over our heads. This is my opinion. Please, do you have any thoughts?
Oh, yeah, well, it doesn't agree with yours.
No? What do
I'm
you
a
want to do?
businesswoman, at the end of the day, relationships are important, but timely billing is even more important. Billing Medicaid in New York State is you can bill for up to 24 months. After that, you're screwed. So I would tell you, I would tell them we're not paying them for 21, I would negotiate out 22, we've already, and then pay them for 23, because that's timely, and we've already paid them for 24, but I'd be having a conversation with them. Even though you love her and she's done a wonderful job, I get it, but, I mean, we've closed our books. The question will be, is you're gonna put this all into 2024?
Jeff, you're very quiet.
Kill it.
I like the idea of some negotiation, that this is pretty extreme, as you're suggesting, Linda. I don't know if we were aware at the time that we weren't getting these bills because of the transition, so it seems like to put some effort into negotiation.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Happy to do that.
I think Linda's, what?
I'm not
You're
saying
laughing,
anything.
you're laughing. What are you laughing at? You don't even know what I'm gonna say.
I don't know.
I think Linda's opinion is the right way to go.
Okay.
We cut him a check for the 2023.
Yep.
Say, here you go. And then say, we wanna talk about 2022, and we're exceptionally not happy about 2021.
Yeah, okay.
And simply saying, we've already had our own statements financed,
Exactly.
we're closed. I mean,
Exactly.
it's already done. Where do you want me to put the expense?
Very good, I can do that,
Okay.
You can do that?
absolutely.
You know, and in good faith, cut him the check for the 2023 and
Yeah.
say, you know, throw in the bone there, and then say, what the heck, guys?
Agreed, absolutely.
And who's these other people?
The next one is Hodgson Russ. These folks, they were our bond counsel. When the whole monitor matter came up, our general counsel basically deferred and said, I think you should work with the bond counsel because they have a deeper bench. So we did. I will say I wasn't happy with their work, with what they did. We met with the New York State Inspector General's office, and they invited us to provide input into exactly what should be in the request for proposals and I had to keep bugging them to make good on that, our attorneys. So they did it last minute, unfortunately. So we had some problems with their performance, but they never sent this bill until we parted ways with them recently. Then they sent us $11,000 in
Reflective
billing.
of what period?
For, I don't know if I have.
18 months ago, I think,
It
earlier,
was,
2023.
It was, yes.
Like March, April?
It was, exactly. Yes, it was May of ~23. Yeah, May of '23 is really when most of this happened. I've got it all here. It was a little bit in March, but it's mostly heavy in May. And that's the retainer agreement. Yeah, it's mostly for that period, from starting in March of 2023 through, these are kind of screwy, these bills, through July of that year.
March through July of '23,
Yes, of '23.
and nothing in '24?
And the first, no. Nope, this is just for the work they did related to the monitor, and they first sent a bill for $10,721, and I asked for detail on it. When they sent detail, the bill went down to $8,692.
So
So where's
we have a
the
bill,
other
we have
3,000?
$11K?
They didn't have no detail for that. So I think that then they've reduced the bill down to $8,600.
Oh, I thought I heard 11K.
It was
did.
11, that was the original bill we
Oh,
got,
okay.
but there was no detail with that, so
It's
I
down
asked
to
for
what now?
itemization. Now it's down to $8,692.
And what's our retainer agreement with them?
We have our agreement right now, it does not say that they would bill us monthly, that's what we were looking in to see if it actually stipulated that
What
they
do
must bill us.
what does the retainer say? I mean, there's gotta be an amount, a dollar amount for retainer, they just can't come up with a bill, whatever they feel like.
Oh, there are rates that they shared with us, if that's what you mean, hourly
Well, that's not a
rates.
retainer.
Can you define what you mean by retainer?
Retainer is where you have, usually it's a quarterly payment for a specific amount for standard services. So $2,000 every quarter,
And
Yeah.
then above that, when you're billed
you
for.
pay
yes,
above,
yes,
and that's
okay,
where you would
yes.
have this
This is
extra stuff.
hourly, I think,
It
right?
was hourly, yep.
So that's not a retainer. So they gave you an itemized bill and brought the bill down to $8,692?
I think because they didn't have the backup, it's pretty obvious.
Are we sure that they had the backup for the 8,000?
Well, I have all the itemization in my review of it, it's all accurate.
And I'm not giving an opinion until you talk.
I have a problem when people, send you a bill in a year that you've already closed your accounts.
And they took 18 months to give us this, so I just want to throw out the idea of you using the last 15 minutes for your executive session we table this matter. Just an idea.
Do we have enough information to
Put up the
complete
bills as
that
well.
discussion?
When did you get the bill? When did you get the bill for the $8,692?
Hold on a sec.
Because they probably have a clock ticking,
It was 45 days?
September 9th of this year.
and it's now gonna be December when we've not taken an action, so we need to close this one way or another. We either make a decision that we're gonna pay the $8,692, or we're gonna ask you to go back and tell them the board will not approve this since it's in a fiscal year that's already ended. What do you wanna do about that?
And would I look to negotiate it? I'm happy to do that
I
as well.
would say,
I would say,
give it a
Okay.
try.
Okay, I'm happy to do that.
but I would do it now so that at least we have proof that we've not ignored the bill.
Okay, we'll do.
You can say you've got a, nice guy on the thing, and then you've got someone that's a
Bad
real bad cop,
Got it.
that's, that's not gonna budge on this.
Understood.
I just sort of.
All right, we're good on that. Would you like us to leave?
Yes.
I would like to leave. Can I get a motion to go to executive session, please?
So
To
moved.
discuss personnel?
To
To
discuss
discuss
personnel.
Yes.
I'll second.
All right.
Or a motion, yeah.
And the clock camera is turned off.